Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Always happy to be here with you, taping on this Tuesday morning, starting this new weekday schedule. And thank you so much. Many of you have commented and expressed your support. Some of you also enjoy the longer content. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit. There may be some days that I jump on and go deeper dives a little bit longer and try to mix up the schedule. But I think this is going to be really good for all of us. So thank you again for weighing in on that. I hope you are doing well on this Taco Tuesday. Interesting article that came out today in the Wall Street Journal saying essentially, Trump. I've got me and my notes, right? Always once a journalist, always a journalist. But in the Wall Street Journal, they have quoted him as Trump as saying he's willing to end this war in Iran no matter what the deal is with the Strait of Hormuz, right? That he's just ready to walk away from it. But at the same time, we know that there's this incredible buildup of troops that are in the region, and it's looking increasingly like we're going to see some boots on the ground. Man, is that going to backfire spectacularly. But all things being equal, I am going to look at the Arab states are getting PO'd, you all, because we know all along all of this grifting that's been happening between the two with Qatar and the plane and Kushner and all these deals that he's been getting money he's been getting from them going way back, long time ago, right? So there's a lot of that coming to a head. And they are like, why? So what we're hearing and seeing in some of the reporting is that Trump is essentially saying, look, we'll send troops to the region and perhaps keep them there for protection, for your protection over a period of time. But of course, that means you're going to have to pay. And that is not going to go. They're like, pay for something that we didn't even start, right? Like this is not on us. This was on you. But now we pay for it. That's going to start to be really interesting. And especially in terms of long term connections between the two, that we know that was always their intention, especially again going back to Kushner. So we're going to look at that. But first, what I want to look at, you all, is we understand tomorrow Scotus is going to hear arguments on this issue of birthright citizenship. When Trump took office, on the day he took office, if I'm not mistaken, January 20th of 25, he issued an executive order to basically try and get things started to abolish birthright citizenship. There's a really interesting article in the New York Times that where a reporter linked Scotus, members of Scotus, how their families have been impacted by birthright citizenship. Specifically, John Roberts, he has ties. His family came from Slovakia. His grandfather became a naturalized citizen. We ain't even gonna get, Spirit just reminded me, we ain't even gonna get into Melania, all right? Sam Alito, he was born in Italy, apparently, right? So there you have it. And of course, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who has ties through Georgia, but of course we know, enslavement, right? So they're going to hear these arguments, and they're supposed to render a decision. SCOTUS is going to render a decision before they close out, like this summer. This would line up to be the second major loss for Trump, thinking he's got total control over SCOTUS. And we saw how he responded after their tariffs decision, right? So that's the first thing I want to look at today is, how's this going to turn out? Is SCOTUS going to hold down and protect birthright citizenship here in the states? Because that's going to be a huge loss, second huge loss for this administration, if in fact they hold up on that. Spirit. We've got the Four of Cups. Man, they're so afraid to do anything. And then we've got the World behind it. I never ignore a major arcana. If you read with me, you know. I'd never ignore a major arcana if it comes at the bottom of the deck after I shuffle. So we've got the World. There is a change, or an ending of an argument. This Four of Cups, we know that after the tariff situation, you had John Roberts and others out there saying threats against the court, all of the vitriol and what have you that went off the deep end behind the tariffs decision. That needs to stop. The World, that needs to stop. But Spirit specifically, will SCOTUS uphold birthright citizenship? Will they rule in favor of it to maintain it? Will Scotus uphold it? The King of Swords, I think that's whoever renders the opinion. It could very well be Roberts. The Hierophant, that's the government, birthright citizenship, and tradition, because this would also, as I understand it, if the court were to, if this present court were to rule against it, they're ruling against themselves. This has been a long held precedent. The Four of Wands, that's solid, that's holding, that's foundational premise of constitutional rights. Will they uphold it? The Knight of Swords, that's the arguments that are going forward. The Knight of Wands, it's going to be contentious. And the Ten of Cups, that's celebratory. And that's on behalf of the people, right? Cups is Ten of Cups is very much a card that depicts families and cultures and American naturalized or otherwise citizens people who become citizens who come to this country. So Spirit, are you showing me that the Scotus is going to uphold it? The Five of Swords, man, they're struggling. They are so afraid of this man. But we have the Wheel of Fortune that comes. Karma, justice, fate. The fate of the nation, the fate of citizens. And the Ten of Pentacles. That feels like holding steady. This is protection and holding steady. So let me ask it this way. I might get a clearer image. Spirit, will Frump, you know who I mean by that, will Frump be angry behind Scotus's decision on birthright citizenship? Will he be angry behind that? The Three of Pentacles and the Devil. Because his work did not, his efforts to co-opt certainly all of the conservative members and of the court and those that who have gone, who have gone on to the bench during his administration. So he feels like he built it. This is his court. It belongs to him. And there's the devil that his grip has slipped. Because the devil binds, right? The devil holds, the devil chains, and that his grip has slipped. So he's angry. Are you showing me that he's like upset? The Page of Swords. And the Eight of Swords. I think it's not anger so much as it is fear. That's what Spirit is saying. The Page of Swords is a reckoning. Pages are new energy. It's dawning on him that, oh my gosh, for every reason that I had to believe, I got my immunity decision. They voted with me, in so many other ways that I wanted. They've done my bidding, right? But now it's changing. And you've got the Eight of Swords stressing him out. He's fearful that he's lost his grip. And the Nine of Cups. What he wanted did not happen. What he wanted them to do did not happen. And the Six of Pentacles. This almost makes me wonder, because the Six of Pentacles is a card of give and take. It's a really interesting card around, like if there's some form of negotiation happening. So it makes me wonder if Scotus, the reason I didn't get a clear yes or no when I was just asking what Scotus was going to do, I think that Scotus might play with the language a little bit. There may be some particular clauses related to immigration or something. They may try to plug some stuff in there that on its face appears to might appease Trump. But ultimately, will citizens be protected? Will we have that protection in place? Ace of, aces. Thank you, Spirit. I needed that. Ace of Wands. So ultimately, I think Scotus is going to hold this down. And this is going to come across as a loss. to Trump, and he's gonna be more fearful than upset because he realizes he really has lost control of the wheel as it relates to Scotus. And they're gonna put just enough in there. They're gonna tweak something in there just enough to appear that they have, they're trying to go along to get along with him because they are genuinely fearful of him. Everybody is, and what that's all about, we'll deal with that on another day. But yes, it looks like Scotus is going to hand him a loss overall. They're just going to try and tweak some things to try and appease him. The second thing then I want to look at is to go into what I started out with around Iran, and essentially Trump saying, because there's no money, you know that, right? They're saying $200 billion to continue to fund the war. Where is that coming from? Now we're seeing also that they're looking back at the Affordable Care Act and taking more from healthcare. They took $1 trillion out of the system for when they were doing that big bill last year, $1 trillion out of the system. And now they're talking about going back. You've got members of the GOP talking about going back and grabbing some more. So healthcare just becomes a non thing in the US essentially. Wild prices are going up. That's unbelievable. So Trump is essentially realizing, hey, we don't even have the money. We don't have the money. Where's it going to come from to continue to fund the war? So guess what, Arab countries, guess what? You're going to have to come up and pay this. Spirit, how is this going to play out with what Trump thought were his allies? How's this going to play out? Wheel of Fortune, things are changing. Devil, ooh, okay. Wheel of Fortune and the devil. Things have changed. Things are, they are these Arab countries that thought they had these solid, profitable, win-win deals with Trump and company. No. And also Spirit is saying, and the regret, Three of Swords, exactly. Thank you, Spirit. Really clear. They're regretting. They're recognizing that what had been sold to them as you can, you fund us, you make, you give Kushner these things. This is all going to be gravy. We'll all be great friends. We'll all profit and make tons of money together. They are coming to regret that decision. The Nine of Pentacles, all the money that we have given you, your son-in-law, for what? Now you're telling us we got to pay more? Spirit, will they seize assets? Will they back out of some deals or otherwise seize assets and reflect that penalty back onto Trump and his family? The Queen of Cups. The Three of Wands. That's somebody in, is this Europe? We're seeing, okay, I get it. Spirit is saying we're seeing some reconfigurations of who's allied with who around the globe now because of everything that's happening here in the U.S. So that's what's happening in that Three of Wands. There's a growth of these Arab states or Arab nations starting to look elsewhere. Three of Cups. Starting to look elsewhere for where they can continue to make deals. So they're not in a position to do anything militarily against Trump or the U.S., but where they continue to plant their seeds, where they continue to build their connections with one another. And I'm also seeing that this is going to cause, with these threes are groups, growth of groups. They're going to start, this is going to help really unite Arab nations even more, so that they say, listen, Six of Wands, ultimately we're flush over here. You're struggling financially over there. So you telling us that we need to pay you, we might even go ahead and do that because we've got the money to do it. We do need your protection if you're willing to offer it to us. But long term, that we're going to start to reconfigure. You won't get anything else from us. And what you thought was going to happen. If you thought you were going to build a whole bunch of, like, buy a whole bunch of real estate over here and continue to capitalize off of our system, that ain't going to happen. And we have the King of Pentacles coming up. I don't, this could be any number of their leaders, Arab leaders. So this is their get back is going to be to somehow seize back control of money that would have been, this exchange, quid pro quo, would have continued. And now they're Trump and company, Kushner et al. Are shooting themselves in the foot, if you will. They're going to pull back on the major thing that they had to offer, which is the money. All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take really good care of yourselves. Sky above you always, earth beneath you, holding you steady, and soul within you. Always, always. All right. Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.